We hear it all the time. Your emotions are always valid. It's meant to comfort you, to make you feel seen, and in some situations, it really helps. But when repeated too often without explanation, this phrase becomes misleading and even dangerous. Because while your emotions are real and deserve attention, they are not always accurate. And confusing validity with accuracy can lead you into deeper pain, not healing. So today, we're breaking it down. What does it mean to say your emotions are valid? When is it helpful? When is it misleading? And how can you honor your feelings without being ruled by them? Before we go deeper, please take a second to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who's navigating their healing journey and might be confusing their emotions with facts. Let's clear the fog together. Emotions are real, but that doesn't make them truth. Let's be clear, if you feel sad, anxious, scared, angry, ashamed, those are real emotional experiences. You're not making them up. You don't have to justify them. You don't need someone else's permission to feel what you feel. But here's the key distinction. Real doesn't mean accurate. Valid doesn't mean justified. You can feel abandoned when no one actually left you. You can feel hated when people are just distracted. You can feel disrespected when someone was just setting a boundary. So yes, your emotional response is valid in the sense that it's happening, but that doesn't mean your interpretation of the situation is correct. Why do we need this distinction? Because if you treat every emotion as fact, you'll live in a distorted reality. Let me give you some examples. Someone doesn't reply to your message for hours. You feel ignored, rejected, and think they're upset with you. But the truth? They were in a meeting or taking care of their child. You make a mistake at work. You feel ashamed and tell yourself you're a failure. But the truth? You're learning, and mistakes are part of growth. You get criticized. You feel attacked. But the truth? The person was giving honest, constructive feedback. If you trust your feelings more than the facts, you'll misread people. You'll sabotage your relationships. You'll keep reinforcing the same painful story over and over again. If this is making sense, pause for a second and tap like on this video. And if you're tired of being emotionally hijacked by your own feelings, hit subscribe, because we go deeper than surface-level psychology here. Where did this phrase come from? The idea that your emotions are valid came from a good place. For generations, people, especially women, children, and marginalized groups, were told to calm down, get over it, or stop being dramatic. Their emotional experiences were dismissed, ignored, mocked. So, in response, psychology moved toward validation. That's a good thing. But now we've swung to the other extreme. We've started worshiping feelings, as if they are sacred truths that must never be questioned. We went from, your emotions don't matter, to your emotions define reality. Both are wrong. The problem with over-validation. If every emotion is treated as absolute truth, you never learn to question your assumptions. You rely on how you feel instead of thinking things through. You become emotionally fragile, always needing external reassurance. You may stay stuck in patterns of victimhood or paranoia. It's important to validate the experience, but also to investigate the message. Ask, why do I feel this way? Is this a reaction to the current situation, or from my past? Am I interpreting this correctly? Could there be another perspective? Emotions are messengers, not masters. Think of emotions like notifications. They pop up to tell you something might be wrong. But like any notification, it could be a real emergency, or just a false alarm. Feelings are data. They point to something worth exploring, but they're not always right. If your smoke alarm goes off every time you boil water, you learn to check the stove, but you don't run out of the house screaming. Same with emotions. So what should we say instead? A more honest, balanced approach is, your emotions are valid, but they may not be accurate. Let's explore them together. This is what good therapy does. It doesn't just hold space for your tears, it gently challenges the story behind them. A great therapist might say, "What do you think made you feel that way? Is there another way to look at this? What part of that is coming from the past? Let's separate what happened from how it made you feel." That's emotional maturity. That's psychological honesty. That's real healing. What happens when you don't challenge your emotions? You might misjudge people constantly. Stay stuck in toxic thought loops. Assume the worst in every situation. Make impulsive decisions based on fear or insecurity. Isolate yourself or lash out at others. Blame yourself for everything, or blame others for everything. In short, you stay stuck in a survival mode that doesn't allow space for peace or growth. Emotional validation versus emotional discipline. Validation says, "It's okay to feel this." Discipline says, "But what will I do with this feeling?" You need both. Feelings are allowed to rise, but they're not allowed to rule. If you feel jealous, angry, resentful, insecure, that's human. But letting those emotions control your words, actions, and worldview is not healing. It's just reaction. Final thoughts. Your emotions are valid. They are signals, not sins. They tell you something is happening inside you. They deserve attention. But they do not always deserve belief. You are not weak for questioning your emotions. You are not cold for choosing logic when feelings flare. You are not in denial for grounding yourself in reality. The real emotional strength is in being able to say, "I feel this deeply, but I will respond wisely." If this video helped you understand your emotional world better, please like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who's been overwhelmed by their feelings and deserves a little more clarity. You're not broken for having big emotions, but you are powerful when you learn how to hold them, understand them, and not be owned by them. See you in the next one. Until then, honor your emotions, but question the stories they carry. That's where your power begins.